Warmest greetings, Sophie.
Greetings, Miss Cat. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well this morning too. I woke up joyful. Good.
Good. So did I. They don't call that my motto for nothing. No, yeah. Today I did, not every day, but today I definitely did wake up in a very good mood. So
Good.
gratitude for that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
So I just want to welcome you on this episode and let everyone know who's listening. We are joined today by Sophie, and Sophie's from Dragon Lotus Metaphysical Society. That it's also on YouTube. You might have seen some of her videos. Anyhow, we are both on today, excited to talk about positively impacting the collective.
Amen. Amen. It's
Yes.
necessary. It's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank you for inviting me. I came across you on TikTok and immediately I recognized you as family. And I was like, okay, I've got to post some of her videos.
Yeah.
You have a beautiful soul, sis. I love it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really do. I felt I actually found you on YouTube and was, like really drawn to your videos and that frequency you were on of sharing knowledge and things like that. So, I'm all about that. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. So what I have a question for you.
Sure.
How did you become a student slash teacher of esoteric knowledge yourself?
Oh my God, that's a long story. Like with many
Mm-hmm.
of our culture, we, we grew up in the church. A lot of us did.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we were taught. It was passed down to us.
Mm-hmm.
But I was a different child. You know, I came into this realm with my third eye way open. Okay. And I had
Mm.
a feeling, and I knew that with every generation, in every household, in every family, there's always going to be one that's going to be enlightened. There's always going to be what they would consider a prophet or
Mm-hmm.
um, somebody special that's going to assist in breaking generational curses. So when I was young, I used to see disembodied spirits. I used to see angels. I used to see horrific things. I used to battle in my sleep at night. I had to learn how to lucid dream at a very early age, at around 10. And,
Mm-hmm.
a 10-year-old's mind is not
Yeah.
that developed. So I would have these cartoon like guns, like these big bazookas that I could find on
Uh-huh.
what, like Tom and Jerry or something like that. And that's what I would use to fight off any scary monsters that was in my
Mm-hmm.
sleep. So when I was growing up, I was told, and a lot of us with spiritual gifts and that is dealing in religion that don't recognize this. I was told that I was born a natural witch. And I
Right.
was told that I had to renounce my gifts, my sight, that they were, of the devil, that it wasn't, Holy Spirit. My mom used to tell me, hey, if this is a gift that you have, you're supposed to use it. God gave it to you. But I was so torn between what the church was teaching me,
Nice.
versus my own experience. So I took the time. I was really a student in church. So I took the time and I just started reading the Bible from cover to cover. And then I bought
Mm-hmm.
like 5 or 6 more Bibles, that was all different.
The different versions.
Yes, and
Right.
translations and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just something that was in me that knew this can't be it. Like, there's no way we can sum up the entire universe in 66 books.
Exactly. Right.
And,
Yeah.
and even though it was a strong foundation, but there's also so many contradictions in it that didn't make sense either.
Oh my God. They hated me in Sunday school.
Oh, me too.
I was like, wait a minute.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
I started studying that, and then I started getting into etymology and languages,
Mm-hmm.
and I started realizing that there's different layers in how you're supposed to read this. And most people
Mm-hmm.
really don't know how to read their Bibles.
Mm-hmm.
So having experiences with the church, traveling with them, operating as clergy, and getting downloads that was in opposition to what it is that I'm hearing from the church caused me to go on a quest. I said, this one prayer.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I said, this one prayer. I said, I need to know, how did we get to this point? I want
Hmm.
to go back as far as I can go to see how we developed into this Christian nation like this. Like, what did our ancestors know? So from there, I and leave the church. I become a Messianic Jew. Okay.
Wow.
So now I'm in the Jewish temples.
Right.
I'm singing with them the Torah. I
Hmm.
leave that. No, I go to Seventh day Adventist first. Then I go to Messianic Judaism. Then I go to Judaism altogether. Then I
Hmm.
started studying Kemet. Then I started really getting into mysticism, because when I would read certain things, people would have their interpretation of it, but it would read to me different.
Right.
And you can't, argue with somebody that says, oh, okay, I've been to school for this. I've been to seminary school. I've been this, that, and the third all my life. And
Hmm.
here you are, nobody, telling me that what I'm learning is wrong. But the issue that I was having with the churches was, even when I became a Sunday school teacher,
Hmm.
we would have to do with books, like Sunday school books. They would ask questions, but then they would give you the answer to those questions. So I realized that they were grooming you how to think and how to read the Bibles.
There was no critical thinking encouraged whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
Hmm.
Now, the one pastor that I did have, and I still appreciate him to this day, he pulled me in the office and he said to me, he said, you're not going to stay with the church. And you don't even like the church. I said, I'm here. I've been to church all my life. What gives you that? He said, you're not going to stay. He said, you have
Hmm.
more of a theologian mind.
Right.
I had to look up that title and realize that it was basically the study of God. So I
Hmm.
wanted to know that whole system and everything from every single culture, religion, the things that were seen and the things that was unseen. And you get to those points. When you vibrate high enough, you can get there.
Hmm.
When you start developing your understanding that everything is not black and white.
That is so true. I actually can relate to that coming full circle. And just to give you a little information about me and the listeners too, my
Okay.
journey, it's really beautiful to hear everybody's individual journey, really, that leads you to a certain point. Because sometimes we all start out differently.
Right.
In our case, we started out the same. I um, grew up in Pentecostal Christian church,
Mm-hmm.
and my grandparents were like elders and evangelists and all of this. And I remember being in Sunday school and just perplexed.
Right.
you know
Yes.
that's the best word for it.
Right. Right.
And so I remember this like it was yesterday. I asked the Sunday school teacher, I don't remember what he even looks like. I said, so you mean to tell me, 'cause the thing was about lying, right? And sins, right? That, every this and that is a sin. And if you do it, that's it, black and white, you're going to hell, right?
Right.
So I said, you mean to tell me there's a woman that she's lives to 105 years old and she's been following the Bible her whole life and she's been a good person and she's been giving and loving and kind and all this stuff. And then on the last day of her death, somebody asks her something and she answers with a white lie just to make that person feel nice. Like, do I look fat in this dress? No, no, you look, that's a great color on you. So you mean to tell me that person's gonna go like an eternity to in the hell for that?
Right.
I said no. I don't believe any God like that creates is like that. That's not love. That's not.
Oh my God. How old were you when you said that?
Sunday school. I don't know, elementary age. And
Beautiful.
I didn't understand that. I said, someone tells a white lie. What's so you mean the entity that created human beings created us to, number one, fight against the very nature that we're born in these bodies, and number two, to worship him, and then number three, to follow every rule, and then if you don't, you're going to an eternal place that's
Right.
dark and evil.
Right.
I didn't believe
Right.
it. I didn't buy it for not 1 second. I was like, no.
What was their response to you? Now I'm curious.
There was no response. Well, the only response they always say, well, the Bible says,
Right. No reasoning, no logic, no nothing.
No, I
Just
think it was just repeated back to me. Well, that's the way it is. A sin is a sin, and um, doubly for me, not really fitting in, feeling that that path was for me, was also I'm gay, so
right.
the homophobia in there was like a weekly thing, and a part of the sermon almost.
Okay.
And I couldn't anymore. So when I turned 18, I told my grandparents, I said, now that I'm a legal adult, I don't want to be forced to attend these services anymore. Please don't ask me to go anymore. I won't be going. And then,
Okay.
and they respected me for that. And I
Yeah.
was surprised, but they respected me for that. And so then my path led me to paganism. I was very drawn to earth-based spirituality and Native American spirituality,
Mm-hmm.
which we do have Native American in our family. So I was more drawn to that, and then to African spirituality. So those things were more, that resonated more with me.
Yeah.
And I was initiated in Yoruba, and I was also a Wiccan priestess before this in my early 20s. So anything really that was spirit based, and that allowed for a connection with the self and the universe and the planet and everything on the planet, that resonated more with me
Right.
than man-made religions that made no sense to me.
Yeah. And the interesting part about that, like even with the story you just told about,
Hmm.
okay, you lie and you go to hell and things like that,
Hmm.
they tend to bypass a lot of the holy people who were actually lying. Like let's consider, how they had to hide Moses,
Hmm.
and when they came up to them, those who had taken care of him and put him in a basket, but Herod wanted to go ahead and kill all of the firstborn sons. Did they tell the truth? No,
Right.
they lied to protect him,
Yep.
right? But that seems to go overlooked because the original wasn't even supposed to be a lie. It was bearing false witness against your neighbor. So the crime wasn't telling a white lie, or
Hmm.
or things like that. The crime was, I take you to court, or I say that you've done something to me that you didn't, and now you're held accountable for that.
Hmm.
That's the crime, bearing false witness, right?
Right. Right.
So we didn't even know how to interpret those things. We made it look like, that there was like this dictator that was going around, and most of the Bible wasn't even written by God. That's the funny part about it. Most of it wasn't even written by God. It was written by angels,
And
right?
also, we've heard about the book of Enoch being eliminated as well.
Yes, yes, yes. That tells you those things. So
Hmm.
I loved geometry. I loved science, and I had to try to figure out, how does all of this fit together? You have
Hmm.
sacred geometry, you have astrology. These are things that our ancestors practiced, but for some reason, when we became Christian, just became taboo.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
Hmm.
it didn't make sense because that's how they predicted, time, seasons, and the
Hmm.
creators, had said that we would do that. We're going to put signs in the skies and on the earth. We're
Right.
going to write those things. So we're supposed to have knowledge, and we refuse to have knowledge. And that's why we perish. We refuse to study anything else. You know, I
Hmm.
look at this universe as a vast puzzle, and there's pieces everywhere, everywhere. And
Hmm.
my job, I find those pieces and I put them together, and then I formulate the whole picture. But it's always going to be from different, cultures, walks, scientists,
Hmm.
things of that nature. And then I formulate the picture with that. I extract that which is good and healthy for the human soul, for our evolutionary journey. I extract that. Okay. And I leave the rest behind.
Exactly. You take what resonates and then leave behind.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, the first episode of my podcast was where science and spirituality meet. And just
Right.
listening to you talk about that, it really, we're coming around again, as a collective, to understanding that they can be intertwined.
Yes.
There's no, it's not like separation. Science is here and then spirituality is there. There's so much information out there. People really want to learn, like, how science and spirituality are connected. Everything, like you said, to just, um I don't even know, like, mandalas and sound waves, and
Right.
how they are connected to, um vibrations, and being communicating with ascended masters, and
Mm,
other angelic forces. These are just things that, are coming together. I think we're, like, right on the edge of that, kind of,
right.
like, you're starting to notice a lot of TV shows and movies are talking about things like this now, versus before, like, never. When I was growing
Right.
up, there was no talking about, angel numbers, portals, any stuff like that. Just anything that has to do with the two of those two, like, marrying each other. So we're in an interesting part of history now. Like, we're back here again,
Right.
um, to
Right.
to reteach. Like, you and I, we have this ancient Egypt connection, I could say.
Yes. 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 I love Egypt. Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And even studying, how that came about, how things got, polarity switched, things got
Mm-hmm.
changed upside down. The thing with what you were saying about, everybody's coming out now. I'm watching shows where I'm literally discerning the fallen, or those who have, like, from the book of Enoch, those who have been trapped here in the earth realm because they lost the ability to ascend. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, that happens if you get caught in the density of 3D. You
Mm-hmm.
forget who you are,
Yeah.
you haven't awakened yet. So now you're going along with the fray. But I'm watching these shows where a lot of these writers are channeling these stories that belong to them. And it's like they're giving their side of the story.
Yes.
It is so amazing to see.
Mm-hmm.
In Asia, they never had, like, the Asian cultures, they
Mm-hmm.
haven't had issues with talking about these concepts like we did in the States. I
Mm-hmm.
watch anime cartoons, and even those that are designed for children, they're automatically teaching chakras. Like,
Mm.
those kids grow up understanding chi energy,
Right, they do.
understanding how to resonate with the earth and things like that. We did not.
Mm-hmm.
So now people like us who come out with these concepts, we're looked at as, cuckoo or crazy or demonic, or, everything like
Yes.
that. But
Mm-hmm.
these things are not unheard of. We're just awakened to it.
That's true. That is very true.
So, it's it's just been a crazy ride for me. But to see the things that, those of us who already are on that 5D frequency, okay,
Mm-hmm.
our world don't look like everybody else's world.
Hello. It doesn't. Do you remember once you made a video on your YouTube channel, and it was about where is everybody at? Once you
Yeah.
you know
Right.
once you're at a certain vibratory level, you do tend to attract, like, and we do tend to be a minority right now. I mean, we're growing in masses.
Right.
But it's almost like people can't see you when they're on a certain level. Certain people can see you and understand what you're saying, and certain people aren't. It's almost like you're walking around like a ghost.
Right. The
Yeah.
Mayan civilization. Hello.
Yeah.
They rose to a certain type of frequency. They didn't disappear from the earth. They wasn't
Mm-hmm.
abducted. It wasn't mass death, or anything like that. We were taught a long time ago, even in our science classes. And this is how I know that many of us miss the boat when we start just really focusing on religion. We
Mm-hmm.
learned early on about vibration. We learned that everything, vibrates, and there is no thing as solids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember the example of, our teacher talking about a wheel and showing the wheel that the faster that it spun, the more stable it became, the
Right.
more that it looked like it's not moving.
Mm-hmm.
So while they were teaching us this in science, I was inquiring at the same time, okay, well, what about these civilizations that just disappear? And then my guys were like, who said they disappeared?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, well, nobody can find where these people are. Well, they hit a level of vibration that became invisible to the rest of them, but they were still existing. Like, people don't see that we can occupy the same space in different dimensions and never know each other exists.
Right. Yeah. With the Mayan and some of these other cultures, and I read a lot, especially Dolores Cannon books. I read a lot about people talking about this subject, and before I really understood what a lot of this meant, I remember someone saying that they're still on the earth, but they're in a different frequency, and you just don't see each other. And I
Right.
didn't, I didn't understand what that meant, but now I do understand what that means. There's so much to the unseen that people don't realize, and just different dimensions that occupy the same space
Yeah.
but are invisible to one or the other because you can't access it unless you're on that same frequency. And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. I had three things I really wanted the listeners to understand today. And, three ways that you can positively impact the collective. And the first one is to raise your vibration,
Right.
you know,
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
to raise your vibration, and really to just, in my opinion, to absorb more light. For
Right.
me, that's like a life hack to carry more light is raising your vibration, asking for angelic protection. you know
Mm-hmm.
you want to regularly cleanse and sage your home, yourself, your car.
Right.
you know
Right. Right. Right.
shield yourself in public when you're going out amongst crowds. Meditate, pray to your spiritual guides for assistance. You want to ask your ascended masters to infuse you,
Mm-hmm.
and charge you with light, you know,
Right.
divine
Right.
light going down through your chakras. And another thing that's really been sitting with me and I felt led to share is a second thing is just kind of like reducing our low quality information when we rise and when we fall asleep. Right?
Okay.
Like, when we get up in the morning, a lot of people, the first thing is the news, right?
That's
And
terrible.
right. I can't with it. But the first thing is as soon as you turn this TV on, and I'm going to make a funny TikTok about this. It's not funny, but I mean, sometimes
Good. I
I
would love
laugh
to see
about
it.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to see it.
You turn on the TV, I mean, not even half a second go by. 15 people brutally murdered and raped and beheaded and this and that, or
Right.
this pedophile is on the loose, and people are losing money at alarming rates. People are jumping off windows, or there's something toxic in your frozen peas. I don't know. A lot of these things that we do need to see. Need to be aware of what's happening, but the news when you wake up, the human body and soul isn't built to just absorb that intense amount of negativity
Right.
when you're rising and then when you're going to sleep. That's like the lowest quality information that you can consume.
I agree.
you know
I stopped watching the media a very long time ago, and I became fixated. Well, the media always puts me in the mindset of duality. It just always
yeah.
does. There's always some type of fight that,
Hmm.
has to go on, or something you have to stand for, or
Hmm.
it's always something.
It's always
And
something.
it plagues you in fear.
And if you're not aware, you will allow it to control you,
Right.
control the quality of your life,
Right.
and to
Right. And
distill your joy and everything.
exactly. Now, next thing you know, you're looking at the world like, well, why are we here? I hate this planet. This
Hmm.
is a very beautiful planet. This is a
Yeah.
very beautiful world, but you have to
Hmm.
co-create that experience with the divine, with your higher self, with your team.
Right.
You have to co-create that. You can't
Hmm.
expect things to just change and you not be the catalyst of that. So if you're wanting your reality and your world to change, you must do the work. Like you said, do the
Hmm.
work. Clear your space, clear your energy, clear it of things that are, no longer serving you.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's like you said in one of your videos recently. You said what are you doing, like your inner world, really what you should be waking up to and going to bed to. You know, it's really like preparing yourself for the day, and also, study, meditation, prayer, whatever that might be, somewhat music, even,
Yes.
something positive.
I
um,
like 432 hertz. I don't know. I love
mhm,
432 hertz. Anything with that. That tends to help me clear and meditate a lot.
mhm.
It does. It's beautiful. Go ahead.
I am in love with vibration. I love sound as as a medium for healing, especially. So yeah, all of that when you wake up and go to sleep, we're putting so much negative energy in the world, and we're watching the stuff that's happening, and we're focusing on it, and we're hyper focusing, and we're becoming anxious and fearful, and like you said, before you know it, we're living an opposite way we're supposed to live. We're not
Right.
supposed to live um like that. So
Right.
just
Right. Right. It's so bad. And when we're talking, even with the raising, your vibration, okay, you know that they have this popular thing, the Hawkins scale of vibrational consciousness. Have you seen that yet?
Is that with the music and the water bowls or something?
No, it's
Okay.
this actual scale where it tells you what the highest vibration is and the lowest, and they tell you that the lowest vibration that you can live in is guilt or shame. Okay. And a lot of
Right.
people have, kind of built their reality around that because it became so popularized, right? So
Mhm.
y'all can look up the Hawkins scale of vibrational consciousness. And so it is telling you love and joy and all of that is the higher states. It kind of was supposed to be synonymous with the 14 lokas of the Hindu,
Mhm.
how they believe as these are 14 states of consciousness. However, the Hawkins scale is is a little bit reversed. Like what they are naming as the lowest state is not really the lowest state. Fear is the lowest state because fear
Mhm.
of it, it's the catalyst behind every negative behavior. Just like
True.
love is the catalyst behind every positive behavior, fear is the catalyst. Okay,
It's
so
the absolute lowest. Yeah.
the absolute lowest. Okay, you
Yeah.
do a lot of things, even when you're angry, fear rejection. Even if you are guilty, fear rejection is always a fear behind it. Fear of dying, fear of failure, fear of this. Fear of abandonment, fear of all of those things, right? And
Mhm.
these negative emotions tend to stem from that one. So we're trying to figure out how does all of the lighter energies work. Well, this is where science come in. The lower the consciousness, the heavier, the denser the body feels because of those lower negative emotions are really confined to the 3D experience. So when we start
Mhm.
to make ourselves lighter by getting rid of those, we vibrate faster. And that's how we ascend higher. So it is a science behind that. A dense
Mhm.
energy is dark.
Yeah,
It's
and the higher you vibrate, the faster. I saw something. The faster time goes, and when you spend moments where you're like you just tapped into the 5D. It
uh-huh.
just seems like for me last week, well, it only felt like a couple of days,
Right.
because I was just in this state where I was maintaining a high vibration, and I was just not worried about what everybody was doing, and in my own world, and just studying and just really enjoying moments where I feel peaceful and I feel blissful, and and the more grateful you are for
Yes.
the blessings of having that, the more experiences you will have.
Absolutely. Oh my God. You just said a mouthful right there. That's really what it is.
Yes, I'm learning this, and I'm so grateful for this lesson. It's just like, how do you get to the 5D? How do you get to 5D experiences, living in the 3D? It's all through your mind, it's through your vibration.
That's
You
right. That's right. When you get to a certain level of understanding that this thing that we are experiencing is like a school, I call it
know.
Earth School. Okay. And we're learning, who we really are, how to manifest the mistakes that, you have made. When you start getting older and start growing spiritually mature, you start to realize that the things that you were stressing out over wasn't even worth it.
Mhm.
None of it's really real. If you know that everything has a cycle, so there's going to be life and death to everything, then why are you afraid to let that relationship go? Why are you afraid to move out on your own? Why are you hurt that you just lost a job? Why do these things we make such a big deal out of it and think our life is over, not realizing that sometimes things like that happen for your greater good?
Exactly.
And so the mental alchemist will take, that negative experience and say, oh, okay, well, this wasn't meant for me. Something's better is coming along. Thank you.
That's right.
And that keeps your vibration high because you're in that state of gratefulness. Especially those of us who deal with ascended masters and teachers, and we have the clairs and things like that. We know that they're there for a reason. They're not going to be there to hurt us. So why are
Hmm.
we getting so bent out of shape, when something small happens?
Only when you're unaware,
Right.
when you're unaware, and once you're aware, you can't become unaware again. It's like, once a mind is open, it can't close anymore.
I know that's right. You ever regret it and be like, wait a minute, ignorance was bliss?
Hmm. Yeah.
Ignorance was bliss. Um,
Yeah.
the thing that made me, I guess, awaken up to the truth that, we can live and occupy different dimensional spaces in the same area was when I had a very heated debate with my father.
Hmm.
And it didn't start out that way, but this was during the COVID season, right? Now, I grew up in Philly, and my dad and that side of the family is still there.
Okay.
But at this time, I was in Clarksville, Tennessee, small little town. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, I was seeing what they were pumping out in the news, and we were having all these deaths. And, they made me shut down my business, for a while. I had to figure out how I was going to get income. Like, it was a real struggle. But the funny part about it is, the people that I knew that we would collect in meditation and things of that nature, they wasn't experiencing any of this. And neither was
Hmm.
I. So I had to say to myself, okay, are they just pushing fear? Because we're going out here, we're breathing fresh air every day. We don't have to walk down the street with a mask. They kept putting on the news that hospitals were being overrun by COVID patients. We had
Hmm.
a team of us was doing Amazon delivery to these hospitals that were empty, right?
Wow.
So I'm trying to figure out what part of this is real, because just like nobody could convince me that this pandemic was going on and we were dying in the streets, I couldn't convince them that it wasn't.
Hmm.
So I end up getting on the phone with my dad, and I told him that I was getting ready to go to Walmart or the store or something like that, and he like really freaked out. And well, did you get the shot? Did you get this? Did you get that? And I'm like, for what? We some places, some business was requiring the mask, some of them wasn't, but
Hmm.
we were kind of walking around free and clear. Like a lot of our stuff, if they did get shut down, it probably was for about 2 months or
Yeah.
less than that. Okay. So he tells me that in New Jersey and Philadelphia, that they were literally running out of places to put these bodies in the hospital, right? And that
Hmm.
they were using mail trucks and UPS trucks to pile up bodies in them. Like, that's how bad it was. And I'm going, what? So
And
now I'm
you're
trying to
you're
find
in
it.
these hospitals where there's plenty of space are at.
Right. So I'm
That's
trying to
weird.
find this, but he said this was going on in Philly and all of that. So
Hmm.
I'm on the news, I'm on YouTube. I'm like, I'm not getting any of this, what he is saying, but I'm not going to stand here and call him a liar either. Because
Hmm.
right after that, my girlfriend, who was a nurse at a hospice, okay, she was a nurse at a hospice. She took a picture of herself and sent it to me in a full on mock suit, like a hazmat suit. Do you
Hmm.
understand? Like the
Yes.
whole helmet and everything. Like, and she was telling me that the old people was dying, back to back to back to back.
Hmm.
Where I was, it wasn't happening. And when I was trying to find it on the news, nothing was talking about it. Like, everything was still going on as it should be. So something was up with that. And I couldn't pinpoint it. Like,
Right.
are we literally living in two different realities? And I started to feel bad because I
Hmm.
had started putting out videos that, this is a fear, campaign. Like, don't believe it. Like, all you have to do is vibrate high. Like, this is not going to affect you. It's not real. It's not real. But here it is. I have real people that I know and love and trust telling me that this is what they're living through and this is what they're witnessing.
Right.
And it was apocalyptic to me.
Well, I absolutely believe that you can be existing in two different realities and interacting, and just frequency wise, because you attract. It's kind of like complicated to break down, but it's like when you really do attract whatever timeline or dimension or reality you're currently experiencing, someone else can be in the same space and experiencing something different, and that's where your confusion was coming in at. I,
Yeah.
you know, um, I don't, I don't really talk a lot about the COVID thing, but I, I don't know why I just knew like deep down in my soul I wasn't gonna get it.
Right.
I have not gotten it, and looking on wood 3 times as of
Neither.
as of today.
Right. Right.
I want to wake up like,
Right. About it very seriously.
hmm.
Right. Well, you're good.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So,
your vibration can affect your immune system.
oh my God, absolutely. This is what the indigenous people know. They've been knowing for thousands of years, and I've seen some people that specifically talk about indigenous healing and medicine, um, also saying the same thing. Like, it's not about living in a way and then getting sick and then getting, it's about preventing your sickness,
Right.
and,
Right.
and preventing your sickness, and your vibration affects your immune system. Absolutely it does. you know
That's why they call it dis-ease, right?
hmm because
That's why.
everything starts in the astral and trickles down to the physical. So
Yes, exactly. And so I knew I wasn't going to get it either. I had zero fear for,
hmm.
whatever reason. And then I started realizing that now this was something that I started finding profound, okay, on my journey. People were literally creating their own timeline. Like, I was told that it needed 11% of a collective to branch off into another timeline, right? And then I
Hmm.
started remembering the words of Tahuti, and I can't remember which book it was in. It was either the Kabbalion or the Emerald Tablets, but he was talking about how he was studying the human psyche and the mind, and was realizing that some humans had the ability to create things in the ether, and he was seeing cities and towns, and he found it fascinating. Okay.
Hmm.
So our ancestors had given us so many different prophecies, right? But
Right.
we already know, and prophecies comes from varying cultures and religions, right? But
Hmm.
we know the ones that most people will resonate with the book of Revelations.
Yes.
I'm starting to see that our Bible wasn't 100% wrong. Like, there were things in there that really, really made sense, but the way that we interpreted it was
Hmm.
wrong. So, case in point, the 3D and 5D split, what if that is the rapture?
Right.
You see what I mean? Like, the way that we interpret
Yeah, I
things.
do.
What if that was it? That's the split.
Hmm.
That's the timeline split. That's the same of the new
Hmm.
age.
And
And
what
so,
if, and
go ahead.
Sophie,
Let's
what
go.
if
Mm-hmm.
the second coming is really the second coming of Christ consciousness in all of us?
Right. Because wasn't that said in the Old Testament when God said, "I will pour out my spirit on all." Okay,
Hmm.
and nobody's going to have to go to somebody else and say, "Hey, tell me about the laws," because we'll automatically know them. That has to be a consciousness. If you
Believe that.
automatically can discern right from wrong without having laws and all of that, you've already
Hmm.
made it there.
Right, because you're already operating from the love frequency.
Exactly.
And there's no need for rules, or there's no need for religion.
Right.
There's no need for any of that.
Right. 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 Right.
Hmm.
because those get it. Okay, it you understand that the golden rule exists, the love consciousness exists. So now your frequency is already raised. You have escaped. You
Yeah.
have escaped. So the Bibles wasn't wrong. The like the ancient teachings wasn't wrong. Different religions wasn't wrong. It was the way that our minds perceived it. We're reading things, that have been written from higher intelligence. The wording, the etymology, the things about it.
Mm-hmm.
You can literally place yourself in some of these prophecies. The book of
Mm-hmm.
Owaspy. Have you ever read that one?
No, not that one.
So in the book of Owaspy, that's another Bible, but they call it the Cosmon Bible. And so,
Mhm.
of course, I was going to be curious about it. And I ended up
Yeah.
reading it. And so they're talking about a new age and a new era too. And they call that era the Cosmon. And you know what they say in that book? That in the end times, every man will relate to the creator, or what they consider the great spirits, in their own way. They will deal directly with, they will bypass all of these systems. That book also says that there will be, angels and mentors that will be assigned and will help teach some of the flock. And the only way that those who messed up in the past could ascend is by assisting humanity to ascend. And we will all
Yes.
do these ascensions together. Like every consciousness will start to
Mm-hmm.
ascend. So that talks about what I'm living in now,
It
a
does.
completely different prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you're resonating with, you tend to help co-create that prophecy. Even if it's the golden age, people are living out that. If they signed up to resonate with the apocalypse and doom and gloom, that's exactly what they're riding out.
It is true. That's true, and we can't see it happening because why? We're not in that frequency.
Right. So everything to us is good. And we're like, hey, we're talking to the masters now. We're talking to
Mm-hmm.
our ancestors. Like, this is exciting. We're talking to
Mm-hmm.
angels and beings. We're living this exciting timeline. And there's a whole different timeline that is worried about who's going to be elected,
Yes.
what's going to happen to the dollar, the kids being abducted and all of this stuff. And it's not even in our reality.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
It is. It is. It is. It is.
Mm-hmm. It's
But it's
wild because a lot of what you're saying, I didn't understand the concepts in the Bible, and just certain ways, because there was a brief period of time where I had the attitude where Christianity is the white man's religion and this and
yeah,
that, and I understand still to a degree that you know I personally still don't like the fact that our cultures and religions were taken away from us and we were forced to
right,
convert, you know however, I've come back around to understand like the bigger meaning, um is the love consciousness, and Jesus is not,
right.
um
Religious.
it's not like a what yeah, he didn't even have a religion.
Right.
It
Right.
is, his religion was love.
Exactly.
Just like Bob Marley, I think Bob Marley has a song on there,
Exactly.
love is my religion. So when you have that, you don't need all the rules and all of the other stuff. It's just an automatic, it's something that's just a part of you. And so that's heavy. And another reason, talking about getting off of the karmic wheel, not being stuck in the 3D like you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
um, is I've just received so much downloads in reference to dissolving karma. Like I feel like this is information people really need to remember, because
Yeah.
a lot of souls or star seeds come here and forget, and
Yeah.
you know we get stuck in the drama of living these different human lives and everything, and it's almost like a soap opera, and some of us get caught up in it until we remember. And we cannot ascend if we're stuck, um in these things, these energies,
Right.
with other souls. So dissolving karma, negative karma, is another video that, if you guys haven't seen it, it's a video that I put up on my YouTube as well. It's also on TikTok.
Okay.
Um, And you may want to check that out because it talks about how we can just say these few powerful words and we can dissolve this negative karma between human beings, you know. And I will share briefly that, um, and you know, it takes coming from a certain place to do this because, of course, you're like, well, that person's been treating me wrong, so why should I say this or that? But you know,
Mm,
get
yeah.
close close your eyes and say, I apologize. I whatever I did in a previous carnation, I do not remember. Whatever it was, I am sorry. From now on, may when our souls meet, may we, you know, only have love frequency, understanding, compassion, and those type of things, and moving forward to dissolve this negative karma and just leave it like that so that when you encounter them again in another lifetime or whatever the case is, that karma has been cleared. And so maybe you don't want to come back to earth for another few lifetimes, and you don't have this heavy karma or this heavy stuff you owe to people on your soul, you know.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's a good one. I like that. I like
Thank
that.
you.
We should definitely, take that type of advice and say those things,
Hmm.
have you found that when you do say that you would get reminders, like has anything ever been revealed to you after you said the prayer?
As of yet, no. And
Okay.
honest with you, I just recently did this, and but I will tell you, um, if it does come back around, I will, you know, I'll share that it did. But I felt it deep down in myself, and I said this to several souls that I feel that might have been necessary to do, you know, and I sent that energy to those people, and their conscious self is not aware of that, but their soul is aware of that.
Okay,
That
love it.
communication.
Yeah, yeah. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. We are I've had to I never said that prayer per se. Okay. And if had I known that prayer, I probably would have said it because it sounded a whole lot better than what it was that I was saying, trying to figure out why the heck I was here.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, because you're talking to somebody that did not realize that other people couldn't see what I was seeing. I thought people was
Oh,
playing with me.
oh wow. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or trying to you scare me or something like that. I didn't realize that. So, you
Right, right.
know, I had went down another path.
Hmm.
Okay, and that path took me to literally have to see, like they would come across in little clips. Like I never got a full out story of the things that I had done or this, that, and the third. But they would
Hmm.
come across in little clips, and I could see myself in different varying lifetimes. I
That's.
never was shown what I did wrong,
Mhm.
but I started to identify with what I was doing wrong by what I was attracting. And
Ah.
then after I would figure out, what it was that I was attracting, then that's when I would get into a meditation, and be like, okay, what is this about? Oh, I attracted this in the past life. I did that. Past life, I, was one of those people that you was trapped here. Okay,
Hmm.
I can admit that. I descended. I started to remember these things, and I got trapped here. I fell um into that same type of thing that the rest of them did. I started seeing visions of the underworld. I started being around and being taught by beings that were in, they looked like they were behind some clay cells or something. And they were teaching me from the underworld. Now, I didn't understand what that was because my vision of hell and what I was taught was everybody's supposed to be burning and dying. You're supposed to be screaming. You were supposed to,
Yeah.
agonizing. There's demons that took all types of shapes and forms that would just screw you over and this, that, and the third.
That
But
happens right here on Earth.
that's what I thought it was going to be. And I
Yeah.
realized a lot of the things that I did in my Christian walk was fear based. I
Yeah.
baptized because I didn't want to go to hell.
Right.
I
Right.
walked this way because I didn't want to go to hell.
Hmm.
It wasn't because, hey, I just want to be close to the creator, which I really, really did. But I know that there was a fear that was installed in me. And then the pastors would reinforce that and say, the righteous man or something that has the fear of God, fear God, fear God. Why do you want
Mhm.
to fear God?
Yeah, that doesn't even make any sense.
Right.
Why
Oh,
would
oh, the
God
fear
want you
of
to
the
fear
Lord is
him?
the beginning of wisdom. Yeah, that's what they was. Why?
Yeah, no, fear and wisdom, they don't really go hand in
They don't.
hand.
They don't. So you had me walking around scared of using my God-given gifts
Hmm.
because of God.
That's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I know.
Hmm.
And the saddest part about it is the gifts that I have is in my lineage. It's in my generation. My
Oh, I
mother's
believe
like
you.
this.
Hmm. It's my family too. I saw, um, things from the spirit world as well. Mostly other souls, energies, and things like that.
But
Um,
the difference between us, well, I don't know about your family,
mhm,
but the difference between, that was I was the only one who was willing to step outside of the traditions. Everybody else
mhm.
shunned and hid their gifts.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think I think really the only gift that really is accepted by the black church is prophetess or prophet,
Right.
you know. But it's I don't understand why it's just limited to that, but it is. So I actually was afraid of what I was seeing, and I asked for that to be taken away from me, believe it or not. And so um
Oh, sis, wow. Me too. Go
it was
ahead.
it was blocked out for a while. I think I consciously kept it blocked out, and then as I became more aware, my late 20s, early 30s, it's come back. I can sense spirits, I can sense whatever frequency, whatever entity is in the room, whether it's positive or it's negative. And you know I do realize what that is. So it's just what it is. And also knowing things before they happen, that runs in my maternal line. And
Mm-hmm.
feeling energies, like if someone gives me a piece of their jewelry, I don't have to know them. I just feel things about that person. But those things weren't supposed to be talked about, like you said. Yeah,
No,
it's a journey of remembering and
it
accepting
is.
yourself as you are.
And it's scary. It's scary at first. It's
Hmm.
scary to people who have such deep rooted religious beliefs
Hmm.
because the fear of disappointing God, or the fear that, some kind of way you're just going to be, you're evil, that everything that's special or unique or a skill that was given to you had to be given to you from the devil, because these
Hmm.
people don't understand it. And
Hmm.
what is it? Is there a literal devil? I mean, but I get it. And I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you why I started accepting religion. This is why I started accepting it. Okay. Because before I was like, okay, all of this got to go. But then I remembered one thing that I was taught, that I remember in the Bible. And this was Paul. Now, Paul was a learned man. That's why he had so much conflict with the disciples. Yeshua was a master in esoteric wisdom, and he
Hmm.
studied all over the world, but he had to teach the babes one way, and then he had his elect that he would teach higher knowledge to, that could handle it, right? So
Okay.
Paul was saying to everybody, and Yeshua was saying too, but I think it came from Paul, that laws was given to the unrighteous, not the righteous. Okay, so if we did away, there are souls here who don't understand or don't know righteousness. They don't
Hmm.
know that it's wrong to rape a child. You know what I'm saying? So with that, they had to go through these baby steps to even learn and identify right and wrong behavior and why it is. those of us who are spiritual, already, we don't need the religion, but some beings do. And it's supposed to be a stepping stone to at least teach the basics of things. Hey, can you love your neighbor? Can you, the very basics of things.
Can
And
you at least try to do that?
right. You know, I mean, some cultures was just wild, and they can cause havoc. So laws were in place to at least introduce the concept of righteousness, and that there was something beyond that. Now, the studious person will start to get the understanding of what it was designed to do, instead of trying to walk exactly the way that they used to. We're in a completely dispensation of time. Nobody's going back to be uneducated and sewing. You know what I mean? That's just not going to happen. So you
Right.
have to figure out what was the core concept of the story. You don't even have to look at the story and identify whether it was true or false if you can get the message behind it. And so they should have been just pulling the message. These Bibles and these religious stuff, these are for edification purposes. We're supposed to learn from that stuff, and we're supposed to be evolved way past it. Because if you don't even know that you're not supposed to steal, if you don't even know that you're not supposed to kill anybody, how the heck do you think you're going to ever get to those higher frequencies? They have to be taught. So I allow it, you know what I mean? But there's conditions. So when it came down to the universe, there's conditions behind this now. If you are going to go through a track of religion, then whatever angelic team or mentor or spirit guide or ascended master is heading that religion, their job is to teach whoever is teaching that religion a different way into how to bypass the system. And that's going to take some time, because if we were to get rid of it altogether, then you would have helter skelter here. It's too many still unevolved and
That would
unawakened
be
souls.
intense. Yeah. That would be like that happening, and then aliens landing on the same day, in the middle of Central Park or something.
Right. So this is
People
the
would lose
basics.
it. But yeah, it's in steps.
And people get offended because I always used to say the Bible is a children's book. I refer to it as a children's book, and I'm like, oh, the Bible is a children's book. But people are having such a hard time with that. How are they going to move on to esoteric without corrupting themselves?
This is what I always say. I know I'm not as evolved as I need to be, because do you know what type of patience a consciousness has to have with us in the human experience?
Men.
To to keep giving us chances, and
Right.
we've had to restart civilization over several times. Okay?
Right.
Starting back with Atlantis and Lemuria. We're talking about these ancient, you know what I mean?
Right.
Some of us are still remembering living lives in those times, and we've had to start back over from being advanced to being primitive again, and then
Yep.
now we're back on track to becoming more aware, going back into a golden age.
Yes.
But
Yes. Where
the
we can
patient,
handle the knowledge without destroying the planet.
exactly. So we have another chance. And what is this doing? This is going right back to the title of this podcast: positively impacting the collective. We want to put out positive energy. We want to be the positive energy first,
Mm-hmm.
because without it starting with yourself, there's no world change. So every human being has to look within themselves to create change, and to be a better person, an evolved person. And yeah, it starts with yourself.
It does. It does. The universe is mental.
Hmm.
We're microcosms of macrocosms. So, everything we formulate with our thoughts, even our experiences, comes
Hmm.
from the mind, the pineal gland, the
Yes.
third eye. So when we start to learn, it's not that serious to be lighter about your life. Just be lighter about your life. Go through the lessons. Practice detachments. We're not taking anything with us when
Absolutely.
we leave. Okay. So, being in that trivial mindset, the materialistic mindset, that this is all that it is to life, you're wrong.
Mm,
There's lives after lives after lives after lives. Just go through this, learn your lessons, and ascend.
that's right. That's definitely my goal. I don't know what else's, but
Yes, yes,
that's
yes.
what I'm here for. This isn't a pleasure life for me. This isn't a resting life for me. Um,
Right,
and there are those people that are here experiencing that.
right,
They've been through a lot of intensity in their previous incarnation, so their life is just here to just like chill. But for me, you know, I'm here to ascend, and I'm here to like dissolve as much karma as I can. I'm here to get the hell up out of here. Yeah, I'm here on my mission, and that's that. I'm on a cosmic adventure. I can't be stuck here.
I got you. I'm right with you. We're gonna leave
Yeah.
together. I'm honey. Yeah. And your audience, hopefully that's your mission too. You're ready to go.
Hmm. But we say that, I say that all the time. But watch me show back up in another 1,000 years.
I
But
know.
I feel like we're on this trajectory where we're going to be becoming lighter in a thousand years from now. We're going to be in a different vibration on this planet. So, but it's because of the efforts of all the souls here that are here to help humanity. I just want to say to all of you listening, you starseeds, light warriors, light carriers, knowledge keepers, all of you, we're all like creating the new earth. And we're already on it in certain spaces and time.
Right.
I mean, the new earth is already here, especially with the beginning of this year. The numerology speaking, this number 7 year is about going inward. It's about ascending. It's about you know joining together with the collective, and going into the new age. And I feel it happening.
It
I
is.
happening.
It is.
You
It
know.
is. Yes. Thank you.
I want to thank you so much for sharing your energy today. And this was a wonderful conversation. I'm so excited to share it.
You're welcome. And the next time we meet, we do this on our channel, on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it live. I'm definitely down for that. And you know, anyone listening, what we were talking about, being in two places at once, is actually what the topic of my next podcast is going to be about, and it's going to be about quantum entanglement, quantum soul or spiritual entanglement, and that's how we're connected to other souls even from a distance, and what that means. So definitely stay tuned for that one coming up as well. If you would like to find Sophie, can you tell them where they can find you on your social media platforms?
Okay, sure. Um, I am on YouTube, and it's Dragon Lotus Meta Spiritual Society. Um, it's not for the weak, and because
Oh,
I'm a universal teacher, you're going to see me, hitting on multiple things. Okay. So if you're only with one vein of thought, it might not be for you. And my website, where I do want to interact with you, where you do can send me questions and I'll answer them for you, is dragonlotusms.org. And that's it.
okay. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're definitely students of all of this knowledge and information. And I connect with much, and I reject much. I connect with a lot of Buddhists, a lot of Native American, a lot of
Yes.
Egyptian, a lot of it's just not, what I mean. Yeah, it's multiple streams of resonance, and we all have to look for that within our own selves. It's very individual for everyone. So you really just have to take and use what you resonate with, and that is your truth. And all of these different paths, all of these different religions and these paths, they're all going to lead really to the same destination. So
Absolutely.
you know that's why we have to accept what is, and just also understand that you are a sovereign soul. Yeah, you're a sovereign soul. You do not have to abide by a religion if it does not resonate with who you
Right.
are.
That's right. That's
So
right. That's right.
Yeah. So I want to wish you and everyone blessings and have an amazing rest of your week.
You too. Thank you. Love you. And I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, very soon.
Okay.
Bye bye, everyone.
Bye.